what's up? How's it going? Welcome to a weekly energy report from me, Faern. So we are on December 30th. Figure out a week from here. I have to take breaks now and again in order to make sure that I'm providing you with the best possible information. So we're just after a full moon. I personally had a lot of work to do around that. I can imagine for you, the collective energy has been a little bit, let's just call it abrasive. The confusion that they are going through is almost like forced expansion, except for there's a big fight happening. Everyone seems to, not everybody, but a lot of people seem to be fighting it, which mixed in with the holidays and now New Year's and everything with the pandemic and all of that is becoming a little bit much. And this is going exactly in line with the amplification of the revelation wave that we spoke about last week and the week before. We're there now. Supposedly started the 29th. I am definitely feeling before that. My timeline is a little bit different now. And I am very grateful for that because it is helping me provide you with information. So this revelation wave is definitely positive, but it's going to provide you with the necessity of keeping away from a lot of unnecessary kind of garbage. I'm just going to use that word. And what I'm noticing in the spiritual community as far as what's happening on social media is a lot of people are taking in information, which is fantastic, but they are then just regurgitating it, which is exactly what we've been trying to stop from happening. Not that this is the wrong thing to do, it's just that this doesn't provide people with the information that actually will work for them. These things need to kind of be tested out for the individual, right? So if someone is teaching and they haven't actually done any personal work, but they have found something that is really helping them a lot, that is fantastic. I fully support them exploring that all the way around. What I'm seeing though is a lot of information around this is the way it has to be. And that is very religious. So if you're in the spiritual community and you're going around and somehow came across this video and you're a teacher and you're telling people that the way that worked for you is the only way that it works, you're being a missionary. We don't do that in the spiritual community. That is where you end up shutting people down. And it's not even intentional on your part if I'm speaking to you. But in general, this is what I've noticed. The light is changing drastically. Can you tell? Woo! Okay. I understand that this is not intentional because there are a lot of people that are hardwired to help others and they haven't yet helped themselves. Perfect. This is a good place to begin. Understanding that that's happening is rather challenging. So, for you, the person paying attention to these energy reports, going through this with me, you will benefit from lessening your interaction with these people as they go through the beginnings of their awakening, because that's basically what it is. And it's not bad. I'm not trying to throw shade on people trying to spread positive information. It's just that there's a caveat here where I think it's going unnoticed where the information's coming from. So there's a lot of pieces that are kind of missing. And when you're giving information to people that are trying to put their puzzle together and you hand them something that is supposed to work and it doesn't, this is why. And it's completely unintentional. And most of the time, I don't even think that the people doing the teaching and the people doing the taking on of the information ever cross paths again, which is also part of the problem. So if I could recommend you find people to talk to about your shifts that you actually trust, and if there's practices being presented to you, see if they actually will work for you. You have to test things out. And what else is happening here is there is this sense of running out of time. Now, this is a freaking monster. I hear it and I see it coming from all sides, from people in the spiritual community, from people in regular life, from people in the consciousness community, people in the yoga community. Everyone feels like they're running out of time. If you're an empath, if you are highly energy sensitive, let me tell you something. That is just part of how it feels. I don't really know how else to say that, except for what that actually is the running out of a process that's not supported anymore, which is kind of where we've ended up, right? We're in the in-between where many of us have moved over into this other psychological zone, gratefully so, but we're also standing on the line where we're trying to assist people to understand, and what I think needs to be focused on is the way showing thing, not the starseed thing, the way showing thing. If you're here with me, it's time to move on. I don't know how else to say that except for these jumps. It's really weird for me that they are happening when we're changing the number from 20 to 21. I don't do New Year stuff. This is not the beginning of my year. I do solar New Year. Okay. But we're in society and we live and we breathe within this unit, regardless of what we think of the matrix, the collective conscious, and all of that. We are still interacting in human society. This is very important to kind of understand. I talked my way into a circle. Okay, so if we're going through this period of amplification and a lot of people are frustrated and confused and fighting it, and then the regular phase is going from highly prismatic to introspection. We know this. Every month this happens. When people are highly agitated and the phase brings them to introspection, this is when there's a high energy influx. This is when people learn about confusion being a good thing and not a bad thing. But all of that, as you know, is extremely uncomfortable. The more people going through that at the same time, the more the highly sensitive person is going to feel it. It's the way your body works. Theirs does too. They just don't know it yet. They may never come to this part of the journey in this lifetime. Totally possible. That doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. That doesn't mean they're not helping ascension. That doesn't mean they're not woke, they're not awakening, and they're not working on that. It's a never-ending journey. This doesn't stop because it's becoming 2021. In fact, the year coming up is going to be a lot of work. And there's something to keep in mind for the energy sensitive person, for the people in the consciousness community that really want all of these new, beautiful, newer things to take hold. It's not time yet. We need to do the work. Sure, we're here, we can change our view, we can understand that what we focus on is actually what brings our manifestation energy to the surface. Fine, that's great. But as far as the pandemic is concerned and the process of awakening millions of people, we haven't even begun to complete the mess that we've made. So we have to complete the mess. Yeah. And then we have to clean it up. This next year is going to be a lot of work, a lot of really positive work, a lot of work we're going to have energy for because we spent this year learning how to be in our bodies and process. If you haven't gotten there yet, that's no big deal because that's where you're going if you're here with me. But It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of courage, but we will be provided for. It's such a relief to say that. Even in my position, if you knew my position, you would think I was crazy saying that. But I believe it 100%. 100% full on abundance. But we're going to have to work for it every step of the way. And this isn't a bad thing. I know people hear that and they get freaked out, but once you truly are moving from Aloha Ma, your true heart center, not the one you argue with, yeah? Doing the work becomes a joy. Which becomes a very big mix-up when it is, when the collective is having trouble because of being so energy sensitive. It becomes contradictory. But if you've been around for any amount of time around here with me, everything is contradictory. This is the point. You cannot have light without dark. You cannot have dark without light. Actually, I don't know if that lasts. Let's just go with you cannot have light without dark. In drawing, there's a concept. Usually brought up in like charcoal drawing or something like that. Your darkest dark is next to your lightest light. Now, the reason it's brought up in that material is because it is so hard to keep the white of the page. And that illustrates that just very direct. It's like stars in the sky. It's like our light pollution not allowing us to see the stars even though they're there's so many of them, right? But we have shielded it. There's no light worker without shadow worker. These are the same people. I don't know why that's starting to become a division. It doesn't make sense. But it's intentional. I don't necessarily think it's bad. I just don't know that people understand what they're doing and saying when they start to discuss that. Think about it from a scientific point of view. That's just a suggestion if you happen to be wondering about shadow workers and light workers. It's the same thing from a different perspective. I don't know what else to say about that one, but that one seems to keep coming up. By January 6th, we'll be on a transitions day. That's not going to be very comfortable. It's going to increase the amplification, but because it's a transitions day, you might turn on a dime and all of a sudden be paying attention to something else, especially if you're highly sensitive. That's not necessarily a bad thing unless you start to argue with it, unless you start to think that you've done something wrong to cause that. That's something our team is erasing now. We don't need that. We don't need blame and lack. It's done. All of those people that are still putting you in the box that you fit into last year, done. The box doesn't exist anymore. So you might need to tell them. I know I do. And it's with love, But as we tumble into 2021, as we tumble into it, by January 20th or so, you're going to want to have these boundaries in place. The amplification wave is supposed to complete at that time. I'm not getting a sense that this is going to be a regular completion. There's not going to be a door closing. It might be more of a poof of some sort. I don't know. It's still a little far ahead. But that being said, moving into the next year, I am going to try to do a longer report, which means they will come out less often. I am doing intuitive readings for people now, as long as I don't know them in person, and these are extremely effective. So if I can switch into giving a longer report for you people, this will make everything fall into place just a little bit more effectively. If you have questions or comments or anything like that, let me know. If there's a particular part of energy, as far as collective energy is concerned, that you want me to focus on going into next year, you should tell me, because I have an abundant amount of information. And to be quite honest, sometimes it's a little hard to choose. That being said, I do hope if you do celebrate the new year with this numerical jump, I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you cherish the time with your family and friends. And on the other side, if you are alone, I totally understand. You're loved. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being here. Bye.